Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. In 2016, audiences were introduced to a smart, hilarious, broken, and sex-obsessed British woman known only as Fleabag. They were also introduced to her creator, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who, since the first season of Fleabag, has created the award-winning Killing Eve, voiced the first female droid in Star Wars Solo, and is now back for the second season of Fleabag. Let's take a look.
You know when you've done everything?
Squat!
And you've even...
Do you want to have sex?
No. And you feel great. And even though your sister still hates you...
Thank you.
You're pretending to be friends because your dad is... I'm joking, he's just there.
Here's to love.
So why do you think your father suggested you come for counselling?
Because I spent most of my adult life using sex to deflect from the screaming void inside my empty heart. I'm good at this.
You close with your family?
Is that fur? Yes, but it's okay because it had a stroke. Oh, lovely.
We get on with it. Hi.
Thought you'd be in prison by now.
Oh, well, keep trying, but they just won't have me.
You look, strong.
Oh, my God!
Are you?
Oh, I'm a pretty normal person.
What makes you a normal person?
Well, I don't believe in God.
I love it when he does that.
Don't sleep with him.
I won't.
Don't.
I won't. I don't do that anymore. What?
You want to go and have sex?
That's better. So I read your book. Do you think I should become a Catholic?
No, don't do that. I like that you believe in a meaningless existence.
You know how to love better than anyone else. That's why you find it all so painful.
I don't find it painful.
That's my soul, that's the way it is.
Amen.
Everybody put your hands together for my favorite show out there, Brett Gelman, Sian Clifford, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Woo! Oh, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks
Our pleasure.
You know how much I love the show. Last time you were here, I'm pretty sure it was mostly just effusive compliments for about 25 minutes. It was really
You can do that
uncomfortable
again.
for you. I will do that, don't worry. But you have said that you didn't want to do this. You didn't want to do a second season, right?
No, they made me do it.
They made you do it.
That was a miserable actress you saw on screen there, wasn't it? No, I was worried about doing another one because I felt like the story ended at the end of the last one, and it was an adaptation from a play, and I was loyal to the story of the play, and it just sort of ended, and I was quite proud of the fact that it had ended. And then Amazon and BBC came back and said it went well, do you want to do it again? And I had a lot of integrity, and I said, no, thank you very much. I'm an artist, and I'm not going to peddle this baby out anymore. And then I was like, okay, maybe one more. But then I had...
like a 10-minute decision. You were like, absolutely not. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah,
I
let's
called
do it.
Sian. I was like, Sian, they're going to say yes. I'm going to do it. But no, it actually took a few months for me to decide. But as I had this one idea about how to use the camera again in an interesting way, which was one of the main reasons I didn't want to come back, because the main relationship for me was between the camera and Fleabag. And at the end of the last one, she stops looking at the camera, which for me meant that was that story done. And so it was finding a new way to use that in an interesting way. And then I was like, I'm in.
Well, what I love about this season is that we find her at a pretty healthy place, whereas last season, I mean, she's still a little broken, a little damaged, whereas last season she was completely destroyed, and that's where we found her. In this one, she's actually doing better in a way than everybody else around her. What do you think brought the camera back? Why did that bring the camera back?
Well, I don't think it ever really went away. I just think that she'd kind of had a different relationship with it. I think in the first one, the pressure of the camera was that she had a secret, and she felt like she was going to crack under the pressure of the camera saying, like, in my head, it was the camera going, there's something going on with you, what is that? And she's going, I'm just hilarious, come into my hilarious life, there's nothing wrong with me, I swear. And then at the end, there's that relationship where she pushes the camera away. And this time, I think it was... she doesn't know why it's there this time. I think last time she knew why it was there. And this time I don't think she knows. And which means she knows that there's a journey she's going to go on. There's another thing she has to learn about herself. But this time she's not aware of it. So it's a different kind of relationship.
You two play, I think, two of the most tightly wound people on television, especially maybe in a relationship together.
Yeah.
What was it like coming back to these characters who are just about to fall apart in every second they're on screen?
You think?
Felt like a continuation of my life. No, it was great. There was something almost more liberating in it than in the first season, just because the ultimate brutal honesty of the second season. I think Phoebe really takes the honesty up a notch in all of the characters facing what is actually wrong with them, which was very much a continuation from the first season that was then, everybody decides to ignore it by the last episode of the first season. And then in the first episode of the second season, it all comes crashing in with the reunion of our characters. So it was great. It's hard to go through all of that, but it was exciting.
Yeah, I couldn't wait. I was badgering Phoebe for the scripts way earlier than I was allowed to have them, and I've got an amazing photograph that I want to share publicly one day of my face when I'd read, I think, episode 3 of season 2. I love it because I think at the beginning of this season, Claire is trying to give the impression that she has got things together and that she has a new approach to handling her problems. And it's amazing to kind of see how that all falls apart. And also just they're such catalysts for each other, this family. And I think it's amazing that they think they can come together and they're going to have a lovely dinner and a peaceful evening, and it's never not going to erupt.
What I loved about this season, and I don't want to spoil anything. American audiences haven't seen it at all. But what I love is that there's a quality to your approach to the characters in this season that is almost redemptive at times. You seem much more hell-bent as a writer to make these miserable people more understandable and relatable, if that makes sense. Was that something that you went into this season thinking about?
I think it was quite instinctive. There was that drive because I felt so passionate about all of them and emotional about all of them, and also they'd all been such assholes at the end of the last series.
I think specifically about Brett's character, who's such a piece of shit. I'm sorry, Brett.
I keep saying this in every interview. I resent Martin being called a piece of shit. Godmother is way worse than Martin.
And he was giving us this
Martin
on
is
set.
a desperate, lonely alcoholic.
Well, then
Godmother's a fucking sociopath.
You're
Olivia's a sociopath.
Honestly, you're absolutely right, and that is something that you especially see like through the season. But you're absolutely right. We learn a lot about Martin.
I think one of the most amazing things about the show and about Phoebe's writing and about our acting. I think that the characters really crash into the audience, and in a personal way, in a perhaps more personal way than viewers think that they are. And I think that it creates this judgmental instinct, myself included, when I'm witnessing the characters' behavior. But the fact of the matter is that they are us. They are our dark side. And I think that, we all relate to them more than we would care to admit.
I would agree, and I think that's something that you feel consistently with your two characters, but it's something that really sneaks up on you with Martin eventually. Again, no spoilers. Sorry. I hope I'm not ruining anything for you. But when it comes to Olivia Colman, obviously she won an Oscar this year, very well deserved.
Handy.
No, just kidding.
I still like to say it's absolutely surreal that movie was nominated for multiple Academy Awards. It's like the weirdest, craziest.
It's such an accomplishment. She also won the night with the speech. Not only
Yeah.
she was the reason to watch the whole ceremony. I thought was that speech.
If you expected anything different than that from Olivia Colman, I don't know if you know who she is. Like, she was going to win. But did you guys shoot this before her big Oscar?
Yeah. So we were all like, come on, Olivia.
Yeah.
Come on.
There was one when we were actually filming the first episode of this season. She'd just flown in from Venice, where she'd picked up the first gong. So we were so excited for her.
She showed us
Many
video.
of the awards.
It had just started kind of like heating up, and she was a bit like,
they were all coming for her then.
Yeah, and we were like, you're going to get the Oscar. And she was like, shut up.
Yeah.
You two have an incredible relationship on the show and wonderful chemistry. What has it been like developing these two characters with each other? I mean, from the first season to this season.
Sorry, we're so in love.
Oh, it's been amazing. Sian and I have known each other for a really long time. We were at drama school together, and we always had a fantasy of playing sisters. So to be able to do it on our own terms as well has been really fun, because it means every single time we have an idea, or even sometimes a little moment just happens between us, we're a bit like, going in.
Yeah.
And I think to have known each other for so long and then to come back for a second series, and this goes for everyone, but particularly this relationship, you've already got so much history between the two of them, and to be able to play that with Sian, who is who turns into Claire, like she turns into her. I've never seen this happen to another actor. Like she just changes on like a cellular level, and then Claire just turns up, and I feel like I've known Claire her whole life because of Sian's performance. So it's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. It's such a... I don't know that I'll ever have the kind of creative freedom that I have with Phoebe, just because of the way that we just trust each other so much. There's so much room for failure without embarrassment, and that's you can't get that in another environment. And so that's been so exciting to play and to come back to, and I feel so privileged with the journey that Claire goes on, even in the first episode, but let alone the whole arc, again, without any spoilers.
How does that... it's so hard. I've seen the whole thing. It's so hard not to talk about like exactly what happens and ask questions about it. But how does that freedom come about? Because obviously there's very little improvisation with these scripts. They're incredibly controlled and beaten down, if that makes sense. And we get them 3 weeks in advance, and no, I'm kidding.
Well, not even that sometimes.
Yeah, no, the thing is,
Right. No, I mean,
there's
there's a couple of my scenes that
In the car on the way there.
Next to Phoebe. What do you think of this, Brett?
I think, Brett, you had to take... the thing about... the scripts are written, and they are written. They're written. I write them.
And by the way, they're written and they are exceptional, and you cannot fathom, zip it, you cannot fathom how they can get better.
Right, and then she goes, wait, it's not good enough, and then she rewrites it, and then you're like, oh, that is
my
better.
God, it's amazing.
It's pretty amazing.
It always elevates.
But it also happens like
Never
on
disrupts.
set, when the moment that it's actually been spoken and we're all standing around and we're doing it and you can feel the energy of everyone, that's when I'm sort of like, oh, something's not quite right. And Brett was such a hero this series, because I don't think there was, apart from the first episode, there isn't an episode that you're in or a moment that you're in when everything wasn't given to you literally seconds before action. And there was one amazing speech. He's got two speeches, and it wasn't even like a line here and there, two speeches. And one of them was completely, we broke it down, and then before in episode 5, and then in 6, there's this whole sort of speech that he makes. And I was in the back of the car with Brett, and I just looked at him and I was like, and he was like, it's going to happen, isn't it? And I was like, yeah, sorry. I took a script out of his hand. And then he was like, and then we just talked about it, and I said all the things I wanted to say, and Brett had some great ideas and some great lines as well, and we just kind of like whacked them all in. And then he learned them between the car and set, which I think is about a minute and a half. And then on set... And then you just did it, and it was raw and electric and exciting. I think you can really feel it in the performance. Honestly, it's extraordinary.
It's a wonderful speech, and it's also a testament to a sort of writer knowing what an actor is going to be so fantastic at, because I feel like I've watched your career for so long, and it is such a great distillation of the kind of pathos that you normally bring to characters, but on a dramatic level rather than through like sort of high arc comedy that that people normally ask you to do. Right.
No, I think that Phoebe really changed the direction of my career, and being seen as somebody who does that, which you act and you get the jobs you get, and then you're seen as that, and then hopefully somebody like Phoebe comes around that writes you a character that changes that for you, changes how people perceive you. And it's such a... I remember with that speech, she was like, doesn't sound like Martin. I mean, her understanding of the character is so deep that, and so that
was why she changed it, because it didn't sound like...
Yeah, she didn't feel like it sounded like Martin enough. She felt like it sounded sort of like Fleabag a little bit, speaking. And so I was like, oh, okay. And then, because like Sian said, you get the script and you're like, this is, one of the best things I've ever read. But like, and then and she changed it. And I was like, oh wow, you're totally right. And it was exciting. You know, it's like one of those instances where you're not freaking out because you know that you have a leader that is looking out for your best interests, and it's exciting. Like the set is exciting, and it is very written. You know, in how it's written, and how it's shot, and how it's edited. It's like, you know, we're all. It really does feel like this tiny orchestra.
Yeah,
in a way.
it's really meticulously composed, and there are these moments of like. What do you do? What do you little boys do?
It's not improv. I mean, there's not improv. There's no
No.
improvisation.
But there is. Phoebe is the least egotistical person I know and that I've worked with. Without like, there's no preciousness about the work, and if you feel something's not working, like you would be open to that. Like you do really. Even though there are moments of where you know, lack of time. I mean, that happens on every set. But where you're really up against it, but you trust the team behind this so much. Our director Harry Bradbeer and also our editor Gary, Baby and Pearl, and like you just, I don't know, I don't know, you can surrender a little bit on the set. Again, that's something I've never experienced on anything else, and it does give you that extra like bit of freedom to just, I don't know, to just play.
Is it a spoiler to talk about the added character of this season? Is that in trailers out there?
Is he not in
I did see him in this trailer.
Yeah.
We can talk about the new character in this season, right?
But he's not here though.
So you don't want to talk about.
I don't
talk
know. I'd
about
like
Andrew
a couple more
again.
questions
Talk about
my
Brett
character.
more.
But you're here, Brett. Maybe we should ask more about Martin.
I think, yeah. What do you want to?
This guy.
Andrew Scott, right, is the actor who plays a priest that Fleabag befriends. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why someone owed at befriended.
Just
We don't like that here.
No innuendo.
like we priest and befriend said in that tone sounds a little ominous, right? Sorry.
What made you interested in approaching spirituality when it came to Fleabag, especially such a classic kind of spirituality? I mean, Catholicism.
The classic.
The classic, yeah. The one.
So I have like
It's the classic.
the classics. I have a like draft email on my phone the whole time. And when I was making Killing Eve, I was having Fleabag ideas. I just dropped them into this draft email and then read them all just before I started writing. And then I opened them up, and there was like a year's worth of notes and thoughts and jokes and character ideas, and like 60% of them had a kind of religious like bent to them, or had like and I was really surprised by that. I was sort of like, whoa, okay, that's kind of this subconscious thing that's going on. And then the more I just knew it had to have that element to it. And I think possibly because I think Fleabag's now like desperately trying to find meaning. The idea of meeting somebody who has such certainty in the world is such a very rare thing to have now. And I also have always felt like that through all the kind of controversy around the church, especially the Catholic Church and religion, a lot of the time, a lot of the basic on the ground, like good things about them are lost. And like the basic Christian principles of just don't be a dick and don't kill anyone and like be nice and like share and be kind, forgiveness, and all of those things that were so absent from the first series seem to be so powerful to bring into this one, and all wrapped up in one person who was also a real man, a real person, like three-dimensional character, and somebody who had made those choices and had found that felt really kind of arresting to write, and for someone like Fleabag to meet someone like him felt like the perfect kind of opposites meeting in the world.
Do you think that Fleabag, since the first season, has always kind of been searching for a meaning of some kind? Like, as much as the first season is framed around this horrible thing that she did, she still is quite often in the first and second season the smartest person in the room, or at least the most laid back, the person who has the best handle, at least, on everything that is happening around her, yet everybody fails and blames her for everything that happens. Do you think that spawned some of her search for meaning like this?
I think in the last series, she wasn't searching for anything, actually. I think she was running from something in the last one, and it was a constant fight to just not... I don't think she was thinking about what the future was going to hold. I think it was just don't let the demons from the past catch up. And I think when people would hurt her or she'd hurt other people, it was just, you just get up and keep going to stop it from happening. I think in this one, she's found herself at a plateau. She's no longer running because the audience already know what her awful secret is. They know everything about her, so she doesn't need to chase. She's not feeling chased in that way. But so it leaves it open for her to look forward. And I think looking forward is almost more scary than it was being chased by something, because at least you can identify what you're being chased by in a certain way, and looking forward into a blankness.
Or looking forward into her sister, who is in a horrific marriage.
Yes, yeah, or exactly. Looking forward
or her
into this.
father, who is in a soon-to-be horrific marriage.
Yeah, exactly. And you look at all the pain. She looks at all the pain around her, and she's like, "My God, that's what lies ahead." And I think that's where the vulnerability comes in, because she's sort of like, "Where do I go into this? What's my place in this complicated world now?" And then he appears.
It's interesting because in the second season, she seems to be a much more vulnerable person. She's much more open to the world and interested in it. Yet the world is even crueler to her in this season than it was in the first season in a lot of ways. The cruelness came from herself in the first season.
It did. It did. I think she's. I think I had a really good thought about 3 seconds ago, and it's just gone.
Shit over you.
And then I just heard you like, no, what did you say? How did you start it again? Oh no, that's right. She's vulnerable. We get it. No, yes, because I think in the last one she's because that sense of she's running from something, but she's hiding something. So she had to kind of be mean and be funny to distract you from the truth. And I think this one, it's again that same thing that the audience know her secret. So the relationship with the audience is a bit more delicate. She's a bit more. There's a bit of shame in there, and there's a bit of, I don't know. And working that out, actually, literally looking at the camera and working out what that relationship was, because I knew very much in the first season it was, hey, come in, this is gonna be fun. And this one was a bit like, so you know that I'm a terrible person, and come in and see my life. And I think it makes us feel a bit closer to her, that you see other people being spiky with her, and she still continues, and she still asks the questions, and she still pushes.
I think weirdly she's way more vulnerable in this season, because she just the facade it's shattered. And
yeah, I think that the whole central theme of through all the characters again is that the way in which they've all been going about things does not work anymore. And we've had this year to pretend that it does and repress that it doesn't for so long that the first episode lights that powder keg and everything explodes towards what it's really somewhat meant to be with all of them.
And you've talked about this before, about how that this first episode is sort of what is the ending that we needed from series. Sorry, we say series in the UK. Season 1, and
they say series in the UK.
We say series in the UK.
It's crazy.
I know.
I learned that in my worldly travels.
This morning. No, so there's, what was I saying? I've got it.
I don't know.
That was your fault. That time, Brad. That was your fault that time.
This was what you wanted. This was the ending that you wanted to see at the end of season 1. You wanted Claire and Fleabag to find their way back to each other, I think, and I really love where this story goes, particularly in this season.
But also,
now I get it. I was lost the entire time you were talking until you close up with season there. Yeah. You're holding the mic to your mouth.
I'm just ready. In case I'm needed.
Phoebe, I'm curious. Obviously the camera is there's a thematic use for it with Fleabag. But as a person who's a writer, who's constantly writing jokes down, as you said, like you have all these things in your phone. Do you ever relate to her use of the camera as a distancing effect that like a writer uses the written word, or a way to pull yourself out of a situation to observe it and write about it?
I feel very seen and exposed from that question. Yes. No, yeah, totally. I think I write these characters because, and a lot of them are quite transgressive, the characters that I write, and they're quite transgressive women who just do what the hell they want and don't care what people think. And I think I write them because I'm trying to get to that place myself when I don't care what people think. I mean, it's important to sort of care a bit, but I think I think so, and I think there's something cathartic about writing somebody who can do both, who's both operating in the real world under a real world persona, and then you hear whatever it is that is going on underneath, because there's always something going on underneath, and that's what I think about all of us here. Everyone in this room, there's like 5 things going on in everyone's head at any one time, and so to have that little privilege to like clock into someone's head is great as a writer, and it does help with me working out what those voices are in my head as well.
You're bringing, I think I have to go to a Twitter question and some audience questions, but before I do that, you are bringing the stage show to the West End in London where you're going to close it out. It's going to be the last time you're ever going to do it, right?
Yeah, last time.
Wow.
And
August.
what is it? In August?
Yeah.
You're going to come?
Yeah, I gotta come.
Please come. He didn't come to the New York performance, so...
Well, I was working and
I
my
flew
schedule
over
got
from
changed
London.
at the last minute, and I was a terrible friend.
I made it to the New York show. I thought it was incredible.
Oh, you didn't come say hi.
I'm not going to do
She's
that.
nominated
That's so
for a
weird.
Lucille Lortel Award. She's nominated for a Lucille Lortel Award.
Are you congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I'll pay you one last effusive compliment before I move on to questions. But one of the things that I loved so much about the stage show was getting to see, it's almost like you're writing Unfiltered, where we get to see how you describe people and how you talk about them. And you're such an incredible writer in that regard. Usually what we see actors do, or we see as their outfits or how they perform, we actually hear your words. And it's really unbelievable the way that you're able to describe people and distill them down into such brief, witty descriptions. That's all. No question. Congrats.
Thank you.
You're good.
You are too.
You're
Thanks so
good.
much.
You're a
Brett.
very
You
good
are too.
interviewer.
We love you, Ricky.
Oh my God.
Love Ricky.
Twitter question. Favorite scene to film? What is your favorite scene to film? So we're running out of time there.
Favorite scene to film? It's very cool.
They're in a rush.
Favorite scene to film? I'm not even going to watch
They
it.
get it. They get it.
They're British, though.
I don't need to.
Because they put a U in there.
Oh, yeah.
Phil, very
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
My
The
speech.
series to her then.
We're series to
The
her.
series.
Let's not use the
okay,
word season.
favorite. Okay, Brett's speech.
My speech. I don't know. I mean, all the scenes. It's really hard to pick. But they really, it all feels like one piece in a lot of ways. But I thought, I mean, my culminating scene in the last episode, but then also the whole first episode was really exciting for us because it was really the first time that all of us had been back together in the room together, and just to have these scripts, and then Harry Bradbeer, who is also quite a genius, and directing, and then all of us being around the table like that and seeing just this level of talent there was really remarkable and exciting, and just the whole first episode being, can I say that? Should I say what happens in the first episode? No. I didn't, but it felt good. It felt really good to do that. It was exciting. Yeah.
I loved, we did a day of reshoots, and it was like the happiest day of my life, because I thought once we wrapped, I mean, I was absolutely heartbroken and genuinely, and I didn't know what I was doing next at that time. And all I kept saying to myself is all I want to do next. Or people were saying, what are you up to? And I was like, I just want to do Fleabag. And then I got a call saying, we're going to do a day of reshoots. And it was literally the happiest day of my life. And I came in and we just shot a lovely scene. And so I think that was my favorite scene, because to just get back into the skin of that character. I mean, I feel like a very different human from Claire, but I relate to her so deeply. And I loved that day.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for coming back and doing it.
My pleasure.
I think the first episode was just so amazing to film because everyone was there and we could all it was a way to kick off. And we shot it quite early on in in the whole process as well. So just the gang was back, and Harry Bradbeer and Jenny Robbins, our story producer, were all there, and everyone had been working so hard. And we do go on about me writing it, but these my producer Jenny and Harry are so with me the whole way through, and they sculpt this and author it as much as I do, and have been there with the whole time. So actually, to have what was in my head and what I've been working on with them for so long there, and it was Olivia Colman and Brett and Bill Patterson, and I mean, it was just kind of like, fucking hell, this is the dream. And then I think the very, very last scene of the whole thing as well.
That first episode is so, I mean, the whole series is wonderful, but that first episode is so wonderful, just getting all the characters in there. And I'm curious, a minute ago you said that you write these transgressive women, and I'm wondering if you ever read, we live in hot take culture, where people feel like they have to have a take on everything, and whether they've thought it out or not, they're like, that's problematic. That's not the kind of woman I would want to be, or I think women should be. Do you read any of what people write about you? Or about Fleabag?
I saw the headlines of a few of them, but I think when I can get the sense that it's a hot take, I'm sort of like, oh, I don't know. I have intrigue about it, and I do go into it sometimes, and sometimes I feel that the articles can actually be misrepresented by the headline. I think sometimes some editors can make it out like someone's making a hot take, and actually it's kind of an interesting thing. So I do kind of investigate a little bit, but also I'm interested, I'm interested in, some of them are just disappointing because some of them seem like they're reductive and that they want to tear something down because it could press a button and it could be clickbait. And that's when it's like, come on, guys. Like, we work so hard to do this. And I know that so many journalists work so hard to be taken seriously as journalists, and we work very hard to be taken seriously. And then you sort of think like, and then you get the clickbait ones who come in just going, this is, like anti-feminist or something. And you're like, what? But what? Where's the nuance in that? Like I think there's, and so that's sometimes, but not. But I don't go pouring all over them anymore.
Not today. One more question from the audience. Hey, right here.
Hi guys. So I really love this show. Phoebe, I saw you back in March in Soho Playhouse, and I really, really loved the play. My sister and I watched it, and we were laughing so much. And I couldn't stay off of Twitter spoilers, but I'm so excited to see Sian, Claire's personal development, and also, your Claire and Fleabag's sister relationship, and also Brett. I love to hate your character. Sorry.
What?
I love to hate your character.
Oh.
I also really hated your character in Love, Dr. Greg Coulter.
Right, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I play a lot of very hated people.
Yeah. So my question was for all of you, so it was a few years since you last shot the first season. So what was it like getting back into these characters? Were there any challenges, or was it just easy going back into it?
It weirdly felt very natural, certainly for me, particularly because, Phoebe is the most extraordinary writer I've ever worked with, and I think will ever work with. Like, she's just how she creates a character. They're just so pinpoint accurate. You just know who they are immediately, and it's so easy to just. The words just, they just connect to your soul in a way that it's very, very, very easy. And I'm constantly like giving all the credit of my performance to Phoebe, and she's trying to give it back. But honestly, I can't tell you what a gift it is as an actor when the writing is that rich. But it was a joy, and I think we'd all, there were 3 years pretty much between, or 2.5 or something between the two. That's testament to the team on board who gave Phoebe the freedom to take that time, but I really would encourage production houses to do that more, because I just think the quality of the work and the even just the sort of personal growth that we had all we'd all experienced in between season 1 and 2, I know contributed enormously to what we've ended up producing, and that's whether you're a member of the crew, and we did try and get everyone back because they were part of that process, and we wanted to celebrate them as much as the members of the cast. So for me, it was very organic, I hate that word, but very, very easy, very fluid. The script was elevated from the first season, I believe, and just mind blowing. So I couldn't wait to get back in. Brett.
I mean, I wouldn't call it easy, you know, because it's not easy, but. Oh no! I mean, maybe it was easy for you. I'm just talking for me. No, it's just, but it felt real. It was really exciting to.
It was really hard to
see. It was no. I mean, I agree with Sean. I mean, I totally agree. I do, because we had all, you know, you're coming into it and you know who the character is, and also Phoebe. The characters had grown in this way that reflected how we had all grown. You know, we were all coming to the table better people, better actors, you know, so, and it felt great to, like, come back and, you know, it's almost like visiting home again after you've been away. Just like, here, I'm back, and then I've got all of these other things to offer, you know, this family, which are the characters. So, and in its continuation, I mean, it felt like such a continuation from the first season that it felt like it just felt a progression of electricity and psychology of these people, and just so exciting to, like, know how it worked and have a way of working and as an ensemble and as, you know, as Phoebe's actors, and really just, like, go forward in an even deeper way than we had before.
And you know what? Easy is probably the wrong word, and because, like, it was really challenging at times to, like, to make this, like there is with anything. And you know what it was joyful. And I do just think when you're in that space, like, I don't know, you access a different realm of creativity. I really believe that, and I think we were so happy to be back on that set. It was just magical. It really was.
Yeah, what I want to clarify, so that, like, I'm not, is that by not easy, I mean, like, the characters are going through a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And, you know, as an actor, you can't really fake that. So they're in a lot more pain, and that is, you know, is hard to go through. But in terms of the logistics of everything, yes, it was easier.
Phoebe, I'm curious. You said you write transgressive characters. I'm wondering. I know I have to wrap. I'm wondering how you have created a space where these transgressive characters, these mean characters, are also likable. Like, have you ever given a script of yours to someone early on and they go, "These characters are totally unlikable. What am I going to do with this?"
No, because I feel like they do bad things and they say mean things, but I think for me it's really important that they come from a point of pain, or that you can see very quickly that they are vulnerable. And I think from just talking between all of us, when I'm telling you early ideas for the characters or for the show, where it's going to go, like, I think I feel so much for every single one of them. I care about them so much. And the deeper the love is for them, the kind of weirder and crueler they can be. And I think with this collection of characters, they're so mean to each other because they don't know how to say that they love each other, or they don't know how to say that they don't want to be with each other, or they don't want to say they do want to be with each other. They're just muted. And I think that's quite a British thing as well. But I think I feel like just the wrong things come out because they're worried that if they tell the truth, they will explode. And I think this series for me is them slowly starting to allow themselves to tell the truth a little bit, which is when I think we're allowed to fall in love with them again, because we see what was lying beneath the whole time.
I love the show so much. The series, both Series 1 and Series 2. It comes to Amazon May 17th, I believe, right? Fleabag Series 2, May 17th. Everybody give Brett, Sean, and Phoebe a huge round of applause for being here.